Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. Kaiser and I are here to talk to you a little bit about the devastation that's taking place on the west coast of the United States here in Los Angeles County. There are fires on top of fires. Most of the Palisades have been burned away. All the homes were lost. The people living in Winnebagos along the Pacific Coast Highway have been pushed out, and in some cases their makeshift homes have burned. They will probably be back before the people will get the permits to rebuild on the loss of their homes along the stretch there, and we'll see where that goes. But the unhoused have been victimized as well as everyone else in those areas that have lost their homes, in some cases lost their lives, and lost everything that they have worked hard all their life to assemble and have a life there in a beautiful area of the country that is now a fiery hell to look at on the pictures that we've seen so far of the fires that took place in several areas. And now today, Monday, they're calling for an increase in the Santa Ana winds while these fires are still at a point where they can kick back up and take more of what they've already taken, or it's already taken. We have a look here at bad management, both in the mayor of L.A. and the governor of the state, Gavin Newsome, who has not and continues to not understand the severity of their water problem, the severity of their forestry attempts at keeping it clean, which they have not done. And they have been warned time and time again by not only Donald Trump in 2017, but others that have warned them that forestry is a very important part of keeping that forest floor free of fuel to fuel these fires that are coming along. And on top of that, I saw on the news this morning where they have made some arrests of looters, and then it came to light that all of these looters that they were arresting, that they showed on the mainstream media this morning, are illegal immigrants in the country illegally, and they're looting these homes where people have to have been evacuated for the impending fires to come through. And on top of that, they turned around and found a guy running through the areas that have not burned yet with a blowtorch, and when he was stopped by homeowners and held, it turns out that he told the police, oh, he just uses that blowtorch to light his reefer with. Wait, what? Not to mention that this particular individual has been arrested a couple of times in the past for other crimes and let go because they have Trump-proofed their state, all while they should have been fireproofing their state. Gavin Newsome, this lies at your feet right now, the travesty that your citizens are going through. Under your supervision, you have let this happen by not supplying the water and doing the water management and the forest management that you have been tasked to do by your citizens. And you may get on the TV and tell everybody how great Joe Biden was to come out there and give you everything you needed. But that doesn't help the people that can't get everything that they need to put their lives back together or resume the existence that they once knew prior to these fires taking everything from them, including their dignity, their homes, and in some cases, lost lives of relatives and friends. It's not getting any better, with today's Santa Ana winds forecasted to get back up in the 70-mile-an-hour range and spread those fires even further than they have been spread already. So take a look here.
Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of California.
Newsome.
He signed Newsom, I call him.
Yeah.
President-elect Trump has blamed you for this crisis. He called you incompetent. What's your response?
Well, I called for him to come out, take a look for himself. We want to do it in the spirit of an open hand, not a closed fist. He's the president-elect. I respect the office. We have a president of the United States that within 36 hours provided a major disaster declaration over a text. We had support from the president of the United States, Joe Biden, with 100% reimbursement, all the resources you could hope for or imagine, constant communication. I'd like to extend that to the president-elect. I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt in reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full, the state reservoirs here in Southern California. That mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that.
Wait a minute.
I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt in reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full, the state reservoirs here in Southern California. That mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation.
No, it's just a lie. Everything's a lie. The whole thing is a lie.
A reservoir that could have helped fire crews fight the Palisades fire was out of use when the Palisades fire began destroying Los Angeles County homes. The Santa Ynez Reservoir has been closed for repairs, and it was empty.
And that mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us.
So how long has this reservoir been empty for? Since February of last year. There was no communication from the Department of Water and Power to LAFD that there was a water supply issue. The firefighters, when they started fighting the fires, no one informed them that the reservoir was empty. This reservoir holds 117 million gallons of water.
I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt in reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full, the state reservoirs here in Southern California.
It's amazing the devastation and the ignorance of some people that will try to defend at all cost the Democratic ideology that has made that state one of the most beautiful states, one of the worst states to have to live in for paying taxes and getting nothing for it, gasoline at $5 a gallon for regular, and so on and so on. Not to mention that it was just a short few months ago that several insurance companies decided to withdraw fire insurance from homeowners there, and homeowner costs for insurance has skyrocketed to a point where some people just cannot afford to have the insurances they need in a very tender situation that could explode at any time, whether it's a mudslide where your house is sliding down a hill because of too much water, and then not enough water when it starts to burn because you have an entire reservoir that has been emptied out for repair over 18 months ago, and no one is doing anything to bring it back online. So yes, Donald Trump may be harsh on the governor out there, but it's deservedly so in my book. Somebody needs to wake this guy up. He runs around like he's going to be the next president of the United States. And he ran around running down the incoming president of the United States. And whatever is said about him and whatever insults are hurled his way has no meaning about getting the job done that he was elected to do. And if you're that thin-skinned and you can't take name-calling or finger-pointing, then you better get the hell out of politics, because there's no place for you there, because you will be constantly hurt by the public and by your colleagues in most cases if you don't agree with their ideology or their agendas to get through in their term, in whether it's the Senate or Congress or a cabinet member. And in some cases, we have underlings in the White House that are running the country for the last 2 years because we had a president which was suffering from dementia and half gone most of the time. We allowed that to happen until we all woke up in November. And on November 6th, we have spoken to our potential leaders and leaders as they exist about what we would like to see happen in this country in the next 4 years. So we not only have the fires going on that are affecting everyone in the state of California, especially Southern California in the LA area, but we also have a bunch of illegals that decided that they can loot now and get their message across by looting and taking care of themselves while people suffer. And that's not a good situation, and we need to get back to the laws that are on the books already with regard to immigration, and understand that we need to enforce these immigration laws and make sure that these things, like people running around with blowtorches that are lighting fires and then lying to the police after having been arrested and let go 3 other times, doesn't make any sense to me, and it shouldn't make any sense to you.
We're going to go live to Woodland Hills, where Zach Sauce from our sister station KTVU in Oakland is helping out with our coverage tonight. And Zach, you've been in this Woodland Hills neighborhood that's typically quiet, but not tonight necessarily.
Yeah, far from quiet. This afternoon already starting off incredibly tense for this neighborhood. We're about 5 miles as the crow flies from the Kenneth fire. So people here were already on standby, ready to leave their homes. And then things got even more frightening for these neighbors. Around 4:30 this afternoon, we're along the intersection of Arcos and Glendo. Around 4:30 in the afternoon here, neighbors say they saw a man on a bicycle with a blowtorch. He was driving up and down the blocks with this blowtorch, apparently trying to light trash cans with tree debris on fire. At one point, trying to light a old Christmas tree, a dead Christmas tree, on fire. Neighbors fearing that he could start, of course, another fire, deciding they had had enough, that they were going to step in. They followed this gentleman up the block, and that is where 2 neighbors finally decided to detain him. They had zip ties, and thankfully they were able to hold on to this person. The LAPD arriving a short time later, taking this person into custody on suspected arson. Now, I can tell you that through a police source, we have learned that this person is believed to have been tied to the Kenneth fire. We are blurring out their face. You're looking at this video of him being detained. We are blurring out his face because police have not officially come out and said that he is connected to the Kenneth fire, but this is what a police source is saying. Neighbors now here being credited with potentially stopping another wildfire from starting. Take a listen.
I just heard a lot of disturbance outside, and I heard someone in the front yard and someone else yelling over there, and there was a lot of yelling back and forth, and I didn't really know what was happening. So looked outside, and there was a gentleman with a blowtorch, like a propane blowtorch, like not a little one, like a full size, like commercial size blowtorch. And the other gentleman was yelling at him to put it down, and he didn't want to put it down. And we're like, no, you got to stop now. And he said, well, he's already tried to start a fire at my house. And so he tried to start a fire across the street. And he's like, he's got to stop. We need to detain this and call the police, get on the police. And so we called the police and basically detained him here until the police got here. And the police took him away.
The idea that this person may have started the fire, what goes through your head right now?
I mean, there's a lot of people on edge right now. It's terrifying. I've got 2 children inside that are very terrified of like what's going on. We can see smoke all around us. It's a terrifying time. You know, you don't want to put anyone through this. This isn't what we're about. This is just scary for everyone.
With all the fires around us, everybody's been on pins and needles. Everybody's like seeing all the footage and we're just heartbroken by everything. And we're like, that could be us, you know? So as soon as you see that you may have stopped something, it's like, I don't know, you feel really like you feel happy that you might have kept something from happening here, because we don't need any more. We don't need any more of the stress that we've been under. We've got kids. We're trying to go to school. We're trying to go to work. You know, it's crazy. Crazy times.
Yeah, a crazy time indeed. Just really a frightening situation here, particularly when you look at some of the tree debris outside of some of these homes, some of the dry brush here, some of the dry leaves on these trees. It really possibly might have not taken very much for this whole area to go up. Back to you.
Yeah, we've talked about neighbors stepping up to donate or take care of people, but this is an example of neighbors stepping up to protect their neighborhood.
We'll see where that goes. Anyway, that said, the anti-Trump and Trump-proofing of California has turned out to be a huge mistake on the part of the government being run out there by a DEI mayor and a governor that does not want to pay attention. He's more interested in the politics of what he's going to run for next. He has his eye on the presidency of the United States. And as I said with Kamala Harris, would you trust her with the checkbook of the United States? Would you trust her with the waking of ideology in the United States? I wouldn't trust him or her as far as I could throw them with regard to that possibility. And if he had aspirations of running for president, this should be the nail in the coffin that seals that up. But then again, we have a state of people who continually, although they're taxed to death, will vote for the blue side every time. Whether it's driven by Hollywood or not, we don't know, or what's going on there, but it is an entirely liberal state. And I believe after this incident that people will decide maybe I should look at changing party affiliations, because this isn't working very well for me, for my family, and I don't want to pay these taxes any longer and get nothing for them. Gasoline out there, if you saw some signs when they were panning through the fire district, is over $5 a gallon for in some areas there for regular. Unbelievable. But yet, they do it. They get away with it. They like it. Give it to them. You have a very, very affluent population that has now joined the ranks of the unhoused, because I'm not allowed to say, well, just more of California nonsense. Anyway, they need to brace themselves for another round of fires today because the winds are kicking back up again. The Santa Anas are coming through one more time at 70-plus mile-an-hour winds forecasted for today. So I hope and pray that there will be little to no more damage than they've already had to live through with what they've experienced over the last few days. And God bless every first responder that is out there putting their life and lungs on the line to save people's homes and get these fires under control. God bless you all, and Godspeed that you get your job done and get some well-deserved rest and acclamation for the job you have done. It certainly is not the firefighters' fault at all. It's upper management. Just like in our three-letter agencies, we have a rotten layer at the top that has to be changed. And when that happens, things will get better. And until then, we just have to hold our breath until the 20th when things will start to get better. I feel very, very confident in that. Mainstream media, for some reason, if you look at what they're posting anymore, now, what happened to the drone situation? Just disappeared out of the news cycle, didn't it? What happened to the situations that were so important when they were trying to malign Donald Trump? They just disappeared because they're no longer useful. So now we're going to take the fires in L.A. and bring that into perspective so we can cover up a news cycle. And you shouldn't ask about past assassination attempts, where the drones came from, who was behind the drones, who is behind the nonsense that is going on in the White House right now with the selling off of border wall things for pennies on a dollar, building materials. And who is watching the fact that no one is working in the White House? Who's watching the fact that underlings in the White House, unelected people, are making decisions that will directly affect the entire country? And then we're giving out medals of freedom to people who barely deserve a participation trophy, never mind the highest award in the land, and now he wants to give it to the Pope in a foreign country called the Vatican. What's going on here? Why do we give one to Soros? Why are we giving the awards that he has outlined for the Presidential Medal of Freedom to the people that he's decided to give it to? Any questions on that? You have any thoughts, please? Inform me in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. Joe Biden is totally out of control, and they're letting him do whatever the heck he wants, or they're telling him he has to do these things, and we would just love to know what's going on there.
In other news, President Biden has given Pope Francis the nation's highest civilian award, the Presidential Medal of Freedom with distinction. The citation describes Francis as a light of faith, hope, and love that shines brightly across the world. It's the first and only time Mr. Biden has made the award with distinction. The president and the Pope spoke by phone today. They were to have met this weekend in person at the Vatican, but Mr. Biden canceled the trip in order to focus on the deadly Los Angeles wildfires. Late word tonight that Special Counsel Jack Smith has resigned from the Justice Department. In a court filing late this afternoon, Smith said he had completed his work into the 2 criminal investigations of President-elect Trump. The filing asked U.S. District Court Judge Aileen Cannon to allow the quick release of Smith's final report into the charges that Mr. Trump tried to overturn the 2020 election. Some Justice Department officials fear that that report may never be made public once Mr. Trump becomes president.
We also would like to know what Donald Trump had to say to Barack Obama to make him laugh so hard. But we don't get that from mainstream media. We only get how bad Orange Man is and how great Joe Biden is. They're still at it. They're not going to stop because they'll never, ever get over the fact that they lost. It's incredible. But that's what we have. That's what's going on this Monday. The news cycle is completely LA fires and LA fires only. The stock market has not bounced back quite good yet, even though the announcement of their reported job numbers came in somewhat positive. If you can believe the numbers that they report, it's okay. The stock market is nervous about something, and until the 20th, I don't know how it's going to correct in any fashion, but we have to keep our eyes and ears open on that. There may be some good buys to garner come the 20th or the 21st. It's Monday here. It's a little overcast. It's very, very cold. We had snow over the weekend. Had to get out and have some fun in it, which we did. It is heartbreaking, though, to get past the fact that we know that sitting here in East Tennessee that Southern California is on fire, and everyone that is capable is doing what they can to solve that problem, but it still tugs at your heartstrings to know that this many people have just lost their entire lives in one fell swoop in a hurricane of fire that should have been prevented had the people elected to do the job had finished the job that they were tasked to do and not ignore it to go on a campaign trail for somebody in Africa and somebody in the United States that their governor had to go out and campaign for, full well knowing that he was solidifying a spot in the party for himself, which I think right now should be, and I hope is, in jeopardy. Well, that's enough for Monday. I have another meme for you to look at here at the end, and we'll take a look.
Donald Trump is now weighing in on the horrific fires in Los Angeles County, and he's laying the blame on California's Democratic governor. He said on Truth Social, quote, Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in virtually apocalyptic way, and saying, quote, he is the blame.
And it's not because I'm a Pollyanna or I can't take it. I just don't see why it's worthwhile for President-elect Trump to be calling him Gavin Newsom or to say, like, you should resign right now. Like, if Barack Obama had shown up in New Jersey after Sandy and said, like, hey, Chris, you could lose a few pounds or something like that, or gone down to Florida and said to DeSantis, like, those lifts are doing a lot of work down there, right? How tall are you really? Like, why
I don't
think
he's.
Yeah, he is. He's making fun. Greasy Gavin Newsom.
But Jessica,
he's
that's
making
the
fun of
issue
him.
with you guys.
No,
You're so obsessed with talk.
I'm not.
And not action.
Because I have action things to say on top of that. I'm making a
Well,
point
then say
about,
them,
you know,
Jessica, because no one
well,
cares
stop talking
about
so I can.
name calling. All right?
Actually, some people do.
No,
and
no one cares what he calls them, Jessica. The state is on fire. The state's on fire, and you're out here saying they have water.
No.
They don't have water.
I'm saying that the tanks were full. There was a pressure problem. Either way,
Jessica, there's a pressure problem because their tank was empty, all right?
Roughly 2,000 firefighters are still stretched across the front lines, but it's not enough. Residents pitching in to save their own homes.
This is a tragedy.
These firefighters are going nonstop, 60 hours battling more than just the flames.
How's your water pressure been?
Water pressure's been a big issue. We have had dead hydrants, so we've been having to go back to Sunset Boulevard to get water to come all the way out here.
I say that's the California way.
Apparently, all 114 tanks were full of water that supplies to the water infrastructure were filled, so there were pressure issues.
I don't believe that.
I understand you don't believe that, but
why'd they run out of water?
They're not
there was a
reporting
pressure
that.
issue.
They
Why
are
was there a
reporting
pressure
that. What
issue?
they're doing is they're publishing the quote from the woman who runs the LADWP. I do not believe her. I do not believe her because the reservoirs were empty, the fire hydrants were dry, the hoses were dry, and the tanker trucks were not there. It is all a lie. They're saying all this to cover their asses while everything burned, and now Joe Biden is talking about C-130s. Where the hell were they on Tuesday afternoon?
Bingo.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just the local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean,
this is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently. That's okay. Things are going to be okay.
Because it's all part of the plan.
And to wrap up this Monday, we're going to say thank you so much for tuning in to the Kaiser Report. And remember, stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report for further commentary and news as it happens. And we'll get to you with any breaking news, I promise. And until then, we'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday, here on the Kaiser Report, as always, at a regular time. God bless. Bye-bye now.